Welcome to the Q4 FY19 earnings conference call of Can Fin Homes Limited. To discuss the financial performance of Can Fin Homes Limited and to address your queries, we have with us today Mr. Sharda Kumar Gupta, Managing Director of Can Fin Homes, Mr. Shrikant Bandiwad, Deputy Managing Director, and Mr. Atanu Bakshi, CFO and DGM. I would now like to hand over the call to Mr. Gupta for his opening comments. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Sajay. Good morning to all of you. Q4 is ended. The numbers have been published the day before yesterday, and we have uploaded the investor presentation as well. This was the first fully audited, all the 4 quarters. The numbers have been restated under Ind AS. So, at the outset, I will tell that yes, normally we used to upload our the numbers and the investor presentation simultaneously, but there is a bit delay this time because the preparation of the numbers and restating and uploading it took little time. But because there is a holiday yesterday, I suppose all our the investors and the analysts, they would have gone through the numbers. The basic points, the important points I like to touch in my presentation, that Q4 of current year, it was one of the finest quarters post demo, RERA and GST. In the last 12 quarters, this was the first time that the company has recorded some 20% growth in the sanctions as far as the quarterly numbers are concerned. Disbursements have gone up by 12%, and outstanding, the growth in outstanding has gone by 19%. Quarter on quarter sequentially, if you compare with the Q3, sanction, disbursement and outstanding, the sanctions have gone up by 17%, disbursements have gone up by 18%, and the outstanding, the incremental outstanding loan book has gone up by 28%, against 634 crore of increase in loan book during Q3. Q4 has seen 812 crore. So there is a big positive as far as the loan book growth is concerned. So that demonstrates and it speaks that growth is back. And one of the key factors for this is all the new branches we had opened, they have started yielding, and simultaneously our home state of Karnataka during last quarter, it has shown a very positive sign of double-digit growth under both approvals as well as the outstanding loan book growth, incremental loan book growth. So we are pretty hopeful about going forward. This trend will continue, and the quarters and the years leading to housing for all by 2022 should be all positive. Regarding, when we come to the other numbers, asset quality is one more area where there was a big positive, both in terms of quantum as well as in percentage terms. The company has shown improvement over Q3. Q3 we had 0.71% gross NPA, it has come down to 0.62%, and net NPA has come down from 0.5% to 0.43%. So there is a 9 basis point drop in the percentage points. As far as in the quantum is concerned, in absolute quantum also there is some 11 point odd crore reduction in the gross NPA level. So these are the big positives. That apart, on the earnings side, Q1 and Q2 of current year had seen NII growth of something like 2% each, whereas Q3 and Q4 we have continued to grow at around 5%. The total NII, the aggregate NII for the company is at 530 crore. That is again a record number for the company, and the margins we have been in a position to hold on to. Still above, it is almost at 3.14, 3.15%. Even though compared to the last year, same time number 3.53%, there is a drop of 39 basis points in the margin. But if we sequentially, if we see, in Q1 it was 3.18%, Q2, September it was 3.17%, December it was 3.18%, and in Q4 at the year end we are in a position to hold on to 3.14%. This has come about mainly because we have been in a position to hold on to our costs. Yields are certainly, it has come under tremendous pressure on account of the competition. You cannot continue to hold on your rates if you want to grow perennially at a very high level. Another thing is your company is into annual receiving of rate of interest. So last year October, when we increased the rate from 8.95% earlier to 9.5%, for your reference, I will like to remind that till March 2018, the rate of interest housing loan rate was 8.5%. In April, we had increased to 8.95 and in October to 9.5. So the entire incremental yield that has to accrue to the company is yet to reflect in terms of in our yields because the company is into annual resetting mode. So all the loans sanctioned during last year, April, May, June, July, August, September will come for repricing in the anniversary month, and the loans granted in April will come for repricing on 1st of May. May sanctions will come on 1st of June. That way, we are expecting that the yields should improve going forward, but the cost will be again determined by the market, that how the market is playing. So far, we have been in a position to hold on to our costs, and this particular quarter, if you see the numbers, 7.90% cost of funds as against 7.89% in the previous quarter is a phenomenal. We are very, very satisfied. It is something the credit should go to Mr. Bakshi and our accounts team. He is sitting with me. One more from the positive points is under Ind AS, the earnings, the income, the total income has been impaired to the extent of processing fee that has been amortized over the entire loan life. The average asset life of for us is around 20 years. Then only 1/20th of that processing fee has accrued to current year income, and the 19 shares have gone to the subsequent years. Going forward, because this was the first year, to that extent our income is impaired, which is reflected in terms of the lower fee income, the lower PBT as well as PAT. It is reflected everywhere. So that has an impact on the ROA, the ROE, as well as the cost-income ratio. The cost remains around the same level, whereas the cost-income ratio, the income has come down by that extent of around 25-26 crore or 28 crore was precisely the number for current year, which has been amortized over the subsequent period, 28.0 crore, 28.7 or so we have given the numbers. So one more change was the company was allowed to make 20% of the profit to special reserve every year that we do. We transfer out of our profit under section 36(1)(8) of Income Tax Act. On that, we are making a deferred tax liability we used to provide for. Now, under Ind AS, that is not required, and that amount has been moved to equity. So, ROE is depressed because the returns are reduced on account of processing fee amortized, whereas the equity has improved. That is where the debt equity of the company has come down to single digit, and that helps the company in terms of its borrowing power, that helps the company in terms of a single digit leverage that has come to, it gives a psychological comfort. Of course, the company is not comfortable, nor we have dropped our plan of really further improving the debt equity. That is how we had a plan of raising up to 1,000 crore capital. That permission we had taken. Maybe going forward, the company will plan that from the present debt equity ratio of leverage ratio of 9.37 times, how we can bring it down to something like 7.5 or 8%. So that plans are there. That is being discussed about. The cost income ratio 16.30, the ROE of 18.16, and the ROA of 1.76. That is what I wanted to explain, that if you recast it under the IGAP, it goes well with our past track record of around 2% ROA, 20% plus ROE, and around 15% cost income ratio. These are the positives. Capital adequacy of the company has gone on improving further to 9.56%. Tier 1 ratio is 17.75%. And as far as internal accruals of the company are concerned, that has been very good. So, both the leverage as well as the capital adequacy have improved over last 12 quarters. Sequentially, it has never dropped. That is a very big positive for the company. I suppose from my side, these are the key points. We have explained in our presentation that how Q4 number, when it is restated under Ind AS, what is the total impact compared to last year, because the previous year numbers till December 17, those were stated, published under GAAP, and only the March 18 was published under Ind AS. Now the numbers have been restated, so quarterly numbers we are not that worried about, because during Q4 of current year, we have taken some one-time hit, and that was a well thought out one. It is it is so done to to make the balance sheet much more stronger. Some disputed tax items amounting to something 5.5 crore, and some additional CSR expenses. That CSR expenses, of course, there is a remedy for that. Going forward, we will try that how we can spread it over the quarters. So quarterly numbers really, particularly under PAT, I'm not that worried. Positive is the PBT is growing. The PBT has shown. Even the quarterly numbers, PBT is positive. It's over from my side. Any queries we would like to answer to the best of our capability.
Thank
over
you.
to you.
Thank you. We would now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may please press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Nirmal Bari from Samiksha Capital. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you for taking my question.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Bari. We would request you to please speak a bit louder or close to the handset.
Yeah, is it better now?
Sir, a bit better. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for taking my questions. My first question is on this annual resetting of interest rates. So last year we had seen in the Q1 that our yields had dropped suddenly because of this annual reset, and a significant part of the loan book was getting reset in the by the end of Q4 or Q1. So will we see the same phenomena this year also, where we will see this lag that was there in annual reset to come by in Q1 itself?
Last year, welcome Mr. Bari. Last year, if you remember, in Q1, that was the time when the rate of interest was just increased. So, in annual resetting, it will accrue at the anniversary year end. This year, if there is a reduction in rate of interest, even that reduction will come with a lag. Or if there is an increase, suppose from the present base rate is 9.5 for us. The lowest rate that we offer to a salaried S1, the low risk category borrower, is 9.5%. Suppose the rate of interest goes up further, that increase will accrue with a lag. But for 6 months already, whatever loans were had come for repricing during last year, April, May, June, July, August, those loans have been repriced. Now the thing is, because there were 2 rate of interest increase, one in the month of April and one in the month of October, those 2 increase will accrue.
Yeah, so my question was on that only, whether there is a higher proportion of loans which go for resetting in the month of March, April, May, June. Or
yeah, naturally, you can calculate otherwise. I told you in my opening remarks that last year, April, we increased the rate from 8.5 to 8.95. And the second time, it was 8.95 to 9.5. So all those loans which were granted in April last year might be carrying still 8.5%. Now those 8.5% rate of interest or 8.95 rate of interest will be reset to 9.5 now. So there will be 55 basis point increase in yield from that chunk of business. So monthly, if you track our numbers that how much we sanction in a month and disburse in a month, it is something in the range of around 550 crore sanction or 450 to 470 crore of disbursement. Every month that much amount will come for repricing.
Okay, thanks. That is helpful. The second question is, sir, you told in a commentary that Karnataka has also shown very positive signs. So if you can add some more comments on it, on positive signs in terms of have the sanctions and disbursements also started growing at double digits in Karnataka?
That's what I told you.
The on-ground situation. Yeah.
Overall growth, the annual growth for Karnataka till now it is 6.5%. And minus Karnataka, the company's the disbursement growth is 12.6%, outstanding growth is 22%. Against 16.7% of outstanding loan book growth. If you exclude Karnataka, it is 22%. So for the full year, if you see, Karnataka, the loan book has grown by 6.5%. But quarter 4 to quarter 4, I am looking at the incremental loan book. Still Karnataka, it carries almost about 31% of my entire loan book is there in Karnataka. So naturally, the one who is having a bigger pie and older pie, the repayments will be much more. The incremental growth won't be that big unless the sanctions are higher. One positive during quarter 4 is my Karnataka cluster has shown a sanction increase of 12% year on year. This figure was negative for the first 3 quarters. The sanction figure was lower compared to or same compared to the previous year, same quarters, quarter 1 over quarter 1, quarter 2 over quarter 2, like that. And that is how the incremental loan book growth for Karnataka has been positive. It is something in the range of 18% sequentially, year on year, as far as the loan book growth is concerned. So they have come back almost, the quarter 4 growth rate, if you see, the conversion of disbursement into loan book has been fairly good. One major reason may be, the takeovers were the highest in Karnataka, in Bangalore particularly. That has cooled off. Once that is cooled off, conversion of, if you disburse 100 crore, your loan book may not grow by 100 crore because we have got normal repayments, and repayments are a bit higher in where the loan book is a mature loan book and old loan book. But certainly, the increments have improved.
And sir, the on-ground situation in Karnataka in terms of the supply side issues that we were seeing earlier in... That
started getting retraced because you cannot hold on to such the supply side issues over the period. It is bound to improve. It has to improve because some new projects which have started last year or immediately after the RERA, there was a lull. There are no new projects, not many new projects. But going forward, certainly all those projects, because Canfin lends into not in those big 1,000 to 2,000 unit projects. Canfin lends into small projects of 40 units, 50 units, 100 units max, where the delivery time is much faster. So projects which were initiated last year, their stocks are getting ready. So going forward, I suppose the supply side issue should get addressed. It should not be an issue. In quarter 4, otherwise, our new approvals would not have been so good in Karnataka.
Yeah, so we are already seeing an improvement, right?
Yeah, we are seeing, there are positive green shoots have come. We can think positive.
And sir, what was our incremental cost of borrowing during the quarter? We said that the blended cost of borrowing, cost of funds was 7.90%, but on an incremental basis?
On an incremental basis, it has really come down compared to quarter 3. You will be happy.
Yeah. So, is it lower than 7.9% or is it higher than that?
No, it is around that level only.
Around that level, okay.
Yeah.
And so finally, there was an increase in the tax rate, which I presume was due to...
no, it is due to, there is no tax rate increase. There is an increase because the percentage is showing higher around 42.5 against around 34. It should be 33, 34, 34.9%. It should be not more than that because we have disclosed that there is a one-time, the old prepaid, the previous period tax expenses which are lying that we have taken. And last year we had a retrieval of tax, some 3.3 crore. Against that current year there is a additional burden of 5.42 crore. So cumulative impact in quarter 4 what you are seeing and the year what you are seeing is 8.7 crore.
Okay, and this was entirely due to Ind AS and next year onwards?
It is not due to Ind AS. That is not due to Ind AS.
Okay, then.
That is due to some previous period disputed items which are lying. We wanted to provide for and clean the book.
Okay. But next year onwards it should get normalized to 34-35% or?
Yeah, even quarter 3 number you compare, it is 34.9% also.
Okay. Okay, thank you sir. If I have more questions, I'll come back in the queue.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ritika Dua from Elara Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Hi, madam.
Yeah, hi, sir. Sir, so firstly, sir, congratulations on especially on the spread front, and my questions are also on that. So you were sharing that, we've taken these two hikes in the year, like, one in April last year and then in October, and those will come for repricing this year. So obviously, we're looking at, yields inching up. How is your view on spread in the light of the liabilities repricing starting FY20?
As far as liabilities are concerned, madam, it again depends on the composition of your liability. Till the first half of last year, during the previous 2.5 years, the company had not borrowed, not taken funds from NHB because we are getting cheaper funds elsewhere. Right now, if you see, the percentage has increased from 7% which was posted in last quarter. This quarter it is 13% is the share of NHB refinance. So, and the bank borrowings have gone up. Bank borrowings will be around their MCLR, barring some structured products which will be linked to external benchmark. But the NHB borrowing, particularly under affordable housing, the blended cost of funds that remains low. So even in liability side, because last year around from 1,500 crores has come, which has come late, it has not reflected fully in the cost. That is going to even keep the cost under control going forward. So where we are sourcing from, that again is important. The mix of your liabilities is important. Similarly, the mix of assets is important. But when you take a funds under the affordable housing fund, if you get some funds, there what happens is automatically you will have to reduce the rate of interest on those loans against which you borrow. So that pulls down the yield, overall yield. But my spread is guaranteed there. We are allowed 3.5%, 3 to 3.5% spread we maintain in those funds. So that is protected. So if you go by the cost of funds, going forward, I suppose the cheaper funds that we have been in a position to secure during the second half of last year, current year it will have a impact of full 12 months. That was not there last year. And we don't have really any so very cheaper funds which are going to come for repricing at a very high rate. Rates have really cooled off a bit if you see even the money market rates. And going forward, we are expecting that the last two policy rate cuts are yet to be passed on by the banks. It doesn't, because any policy rate reduction doesn't help the HFCs and NBFCs directly unless the banks reduce the MCLR. Banks are yet to pass on. Let us see going forward how it plays. But we are pretty optimistic that yes, we should be in a position to hold on to these rates. Or it should improve, not go.
Sure, sir. So similarly, like how you helped with like how the blended number for the bank funding looks like, could you help with how the blended numbers for maybe NHB and your NCD CP combined looks as of today? What is the blended cost there?
Certainly, if the bank costs are 8% and plus, and my overall cost is 7.9, you can work out. I think this.
Sure, sir. So what is the CP share as of today? I mean, as of March?
It's something like 12%, 12.5%. Last year it was 15% in March.
Okay.
One thing is up to 15%, 18% we are comfortable, but we are, because the market is talking so much about, so we are keeping it low, only to give you psychological comfort. Otherwise, again, most of our CPs are 1 year CPs.
Sure.
We don't
so looking at your, so from the discussion, can one assume that definitely spreads are looking up now?
Should be. Because there is an imminent repricing of the portfolio going forward because of the annual resetting.
And sir, can I ask one data keeping question from that? What percentage of the liability is repricing in FY20 and what would be the blended cost there?
You asked Mr. Bhakti later, yeah.
Okay, so second question on the growth front. So a good growth, and you were already sharing that, Karnataka is, improving. So on the, some bit on the mix, while I understand it's coming off a low base, but then there has been a consistent growth in the top-up personal loans. And particularly for this quarter, there was a growth in the commercial housing loans though. And non-salaried has been, has been on our side. Sir, any comments on the three, if you could? How do you see the growth coming from these three, in terms of as an avenues to grow?
Clearly, if you see in the loan book, it is 90% is housing. I am worried that the housing only is because the pace of growth of housing has been much faster compared to the non-housing. So when the non-housing was till 2 years back, it used to be something like 12.5%, 13%. That sort of a mix was managed by the company to keep the returns bit higher. But over the last 10, 12 quarters, the growth rate of individual home loan has been much faster. And leading to FY 2022, the housing for all, it is obvious that the growth will come mostly from housing, not from non-housing. It is not that my non-housing book is not growing. Non-housing book is growing, but as far as the growth of housing is concerned, that has outpaced the non-housing growth in the total portfolio. That is where the non-housing has come down. As far as SCNP was the self-employed, the non-salaried book, that has gone up to something like, it is 71-29 now, 71 salaried and 29 non-salaried. And of the fresh sanctions, it is again around something like same 66, one-third, two-third. As the income tax base is increasing for the country and more number of people are filing tax returns, if there is a return available for the income, that the income is evidenced, certainly that comes as a new, the increased, the catchment area for the company. Because we don't underwrite where income is not evident. If you are filing a return, you are salaried or non-salaried, we can underwrite. But still then, Canfin remains the darling of the salaried and it will continue to remain like that. So primarily going forward, it won't be LAP, it won't be builder loan. Obviously, it will be primarily salaried individual home loan portfolio which will grow faster.
Sure, sir. And this last question on capital, sir, why is there a need at the moment? I think we are even meeting the regulatory requirements which have come up, I think we are probably we don't even need it till for the next 2 years if unless and until you think that the growth is going to surpass significantly. Or
yeah, naturally, it is arithmetically true that as long as you are doing a better return on equity from the growth rate, your internal accruals are better only, higher than the consumption, and there should not be any issues. But the thing is, somewhere the company has to, if you have to survive in the market and if you have to keep the sentiments of the people up, because the discussions are too much around all these things. Nowadays, the discussion around liquidity, the discussion around leverage ratio, when the HFC is allowed 16 times, now the NHB regulation says that yes, they are going to tighten it to 12 times going forward from 16 times. Over next 3 years, it will be reduced to 12 times. There are companies who are operating comfortably at 10%, 11%, 12%, even up to 13% leverage. There has never been an issue, but now that once bitten, twice shy, so you need to be a little careful. And last time when we took the permission for capital in FY17, after March 17, it was when the debt equity of the company touched 11. It was 11.03, I remember. And in the same, all of you had asked that why you require capital when your capital adequacy is 19 plus. That time it was 18.5 or so. Capital for growth capital, company doesn't require to raise capital. But as far as borrowing is concerned, the bankers are comfortable to lend. You can command the best pricing in the market if your leverage is below 12 as far as the banks are concerned. Now that it has come to single digit, we are still comfortable. But you should not run to the market to raise capital when you require capital. You should be prepared. That is how we are planning that yes, this year sometime we may go to the market to raise some. It will not be 1,000 crore, but some capital to keep the leverage at the level that is comfortable to the bankers and to the investors.
Sure, sir. So certainly this year maybe is what your thought.
This year we will go.
Great, sir. Great, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
Welcome.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Purat Mittal from Global Core Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for the opportunity. I see last year your provisions were 35 crore against NP additions of 56 crore. Versus this year, your NP addition is 68 crore, but provisions has only been 17 crore. So our provisions are less, which naturally is good for the bottom line, but is that a good sign? What's your take on that?
I don't know where from you got this 17 crore current year NPA provision number. It is not there. Last year, we had made some additional provision at the year end because it is not because the NPAs required the provision percentage. Because if I provide for, then I am getting a tax break on that. So that was the only reason. I suppose in March conference call also I had explained that the 20 crore NPA provision we had made last year was only for the purpose of taking the tax benefit because 5% of my total taxable income on that I get for the fresh provisions. Earlier we used to get this benefit, tax benefit only when we write off. There is a change in the norm. That is why we had provided. But for current year, because already we are holding adequate in our required. And that's it. Right now the rule is for standard and NPA, that concept is gone under India. It is based on the ECL model. Under ECL, you require to provide that much is calculated based on the LGD, the PD, LGD and EAD, etc. But till such time, the NSP guideline is we have to provide the basic requirement, the minimum required under IRAC, the erstwhile income recognition and asset classification norms, the prudential norms, the standardized rate of 15% for substandard or for the D1, D2 and D3 at the rate of 25%, 40% and 100% of deficit. So that is how the company has provided extra, not because the ECL requires, because the prudential norm requires that much only is provided. And we don't require beyond this because the 100% of the security, the assets of the company are security backed. Unless additional provision is required, there is no point really we should provide more and block our the net worth. Because right now what is much more important for a company is the capital, your net owned funds, so that borrowing power remains comfortable and the leverage ratio it remains lower.
Okay, thanks. The second question is, I see your loan book increase is about 2,600 crore this year, which is approximately about 50% of the disbursement that you've done, about 5,500 crore. Now for this year, FY20, you are guiding about 4,600 crore growth in loan book, which again, if you take around the same percentage, the disbursement should be around 9,200 crore. But in the liquidity position that you mentioned, you are assuming a disbursement of 1,800 crore per quarter. So there's a gap of about 2,000 odd crore. Is it because you are expecting that to be filled by the capital raise, or is it because you are expecting a lower prepayment?
That is precisely. Your last word is correct. Last year there was a dramatic shift in the prepayments, and particularly the takeovers and balance transfers during the second half. Somewhere that is why I had uttered this particular line that once in a while nature controls such the unethical things of poaching. Post ILFS and post the liquidity crisis in September, October of last year, all of a sudden there are many players who were into poaching others' book that stopped. So the conversion of your disbursement into loan book has been fairly good. If you are saying 50% is the conversion, even that 50% was not happening. In the first half year, it is really the second half year rate will be much better compared to the first half year. If you see my quarterly numbers, I disbursed 5,554 crores and the outstanding loan book went up by 812 crores. It may come to something like 60% or so? 58%. 58%. Something like 58-60% it will come to. So we are expecting that going forward, this number will be better. So the repayments, the prepayments and takeovers, that has pulled up. So conversion of our disbursements into loan book should be fair enough. That apart, on an increased loan book, higher loan book, what happens is your interest accruals as well as in the new loans, because there will be a moratorium, so those will be in the gestation period where the EMI would not have started, so accruals will be much faster.
Okay. Thank you. And my last question is that I think you had declared in your previous board meeting in March that the company will be going for an external search for the CEO. So I wanted to understand what is the timeline and status of that, and is the company appointing a committee or an external firm for the search of the CEO?
Yeah, the process is on, and at right time, appropriate time, we'll be disclosing to the market.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to ensure that management is able to address questions from all participants in the conference, please limit your questions to one per participant. Should you have a follow-up question, we request you to rejoin the queue. The next question is from the line of Akash Dattani from HDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Hi, Akash.
Yeah, hi. Good morning, and thank you for taking my question. So my question is on the operating expenses, particularly staff costs during the quarter. So they have almost doubled quarter on quarter. So anything on that you would wish to highlight?
Yeah, it was mainly because of the AS15 requirement. Please don't look at this quarter on quarter. That's what I told. There are many this impacts. It comes in the last quarter of our expenses. It's because of AS15 only. If you see the year-on-year number, that speaks that staff expenses are...
Yes, it's lower than the quarter.
I'm not worried about the quarterly numbers. I told you in the outset.
Okay, so and just one more question, if I may ask. On the yields bit, so over the past few quarters, we see that the quantum of your non-salaried book continues to rise, as well as non-home loan, the non-home loan portion. So when would we see this sort of manifesting in the yields?
The non-home loan portion, in percentage terms, that is really reducing. It has not increased.
Okay.
The non-salaried is concerned, yes, I agree. I'll request Mr. Bakshi to take this question and explain.
As for the self-employed professionals and business class are concerned, yes, that group is growing. The reason behind it, if you go for the income tax authorities declaration, Government of India, more people are paying income tax now. So more people are coming under income tax net. As far as our system is concerned, we don't consider any perception-based income. We take the income tax return to calculate their income. So that group is growing, so automatically more and more people are coming into our fold. We are not allergic to the people who are self-employed, but we only insist that they should pay tax and they should have a taxable return.
Of course. So would that translate into higher yields?
Yes, automatically. It will translate because we charge it higher to the self-employed class.
Okay, so with this portion, if we expect it to grow, that would have a positive impact on yields.
It is growing. It is, if you see continuously, it is growing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we wish that the salaried class will also grow, and it will have a balancing effect. So, because when if you see general tendencies like that, the self-employed class, when it grows, its loan book tenure becomes less. So, long term, if you see a salaried class is beneficial for us, even if the yield rate is little low.
And the increase in tax rate, earlier there was a mention made about the transfer to special reserves under Section 36 of the income tax. Hello. So there was a mention made regarding the transfer to special reserves and its impact on the deferred tax calculation. Could you elaborate on that, please?
In old method, IGAP method, that as for income tax 3618, 20% of your income from the long-term housing loan.
Correct.
You can take to your reserve without paying tax.
Correct.
But in this Ind AS, that is gone. That 3618. So you have to pay tax even if there is no 3618 as far as Ind AS is concerned.
But wouldn't that be governed by the Income Tax Act and not by the accounting standards, the quantum of tax?
There is a tax shield available on this. And earlier we are creating a deferred tax on that. That deferred tax, whatever DTL amount is there, that is now it has gone back to, it will sit in equity, and to that extent you have a tax shield.
Or is it that it has exceeded the amount of reserves outstanding? The special reserves have exceeded twice the share capital and other reserves, so that's why you all cannot transfer more. Is that the reason?
No.
No. Okay, fine. That's it from my end. Thank you very much.
And another thing is, this particular effect was given by most of the HFCs in the previous quarters. Canfin had not done, so in quarter 4 only we have done.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Bunty Chawla from BNK Securities. Please go ahead.
Thank you and congratulations on a good set of numbers. So just one clarification I need. On the page 16, there is a slide of the movement of NPAs. In the lower side, you have written during the years 367 accounts, 60 crores, and security sold in 46 accounts. So is there meaning that out of the 60 crores recovery, we have got 47 crores of the recovery? Is it understanding right, sir?
Yeah, I'll tell you, Mr. Bunty, how it works. The top portion movement of NPA, what you are seeing is, it doesn't include, suppose one account got into NPA in the month of April, May or June, means it was not there in the March numbers, March 18, and in between it slipped to NPA and came out of NPA. Okay. That number will not be there. Whereas the total during the year is 367 accounts amounting to 60.31 crore we have taken surface action, out of which 307 accounts got upgraded.
Okay.
Without selling the security. Without selling the security. Once you take, issue the notice under surface and start taking action, by and large, you upgrade the accounts, the borrowers, they come and the customers, they used to regularize the account. The sale of security was not a phenomenon in the company earlier. We are not resorting to that, but from last year, as I told, FY18 onwards, FY18 June 17, first we classified a bunch of accounts into NPA only to initiate surface action. So similarly in June 18, we had allowed a bunch of NPAs to be dropped into NPA so that we can initiate surface action. Instead of running forward, there is a time when what happens is your cost of follow-up and cost of recovery, that really goes up compared to the earning that you are making. To collect that one EMI, my guy has to visit customer's house three times, 4 times. It doesn't work out because there is a cost involved even for that staff. So that is where we have been in a position to, we are okay, comfortable with a higher NPA number, but the efforts will be less and through the normal process, through NAT only corrections would come. That is our end of it.
Okay. So can you share how much currently NPA accounts are under surface, or you can share the how much is it?
In the same slide we have given, it is 639 accounts amounting to 95.56 crore, which is under surface.
Okay, out of it 60 crores during the year has been collected or means recovered.
Out of that 639 NPA accounts, some are pertaining to previous year and current year is 367 accounts. During the year was 367, out of that 639.
Okay.
Previous year. So if you see the quantum wise, some 35 crore pertaining to previous year and 60 crore pertaining to current year, which are under surface action out of the 113 crore of NPA book that you are seeing.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhishek Shah from Valcor Capital. Please go ahead.
So thank you for the opportunity. Sir, I just have a few basic questions. First, as you mentioned, that about the annual revision of interest rates for our clients, and you could expect, yields to go up. So what sort of improvement in NIMs can we expect maybe in the coming quarters?
Sir, as far as yields are concerned, because this is arithmetic, I could explain you. If you can explain me what is going to be the cost scenario in the market, then only I will be in a position to explain what will be the impact on margins. Naturally, the company and the management, we have been trying that, yes, we should hold on to that 3 plus 3.25 margins, that sort of margin we should be in a position to sustain. But because the spread and margin are combined, there is a combined impact of both cost as well as yield. Cost is determined by the market now. So, suppose banks do pass on in terms of MCLR cut, immediately that will accrue to me. Otherwise, it may not. And last year, towards the second half, the MCLRs had gone up. So, in last year cost, there is a 6-month impact. This year, there will be a full year impact if there is no reduction in the MCLR. And you cannot go on increasing, because your yields are determined by competition, but cost is determined by the market.
Right. Exactly. Fair enough, sir. Second, just a clarification. So you said around 29 crores is the impact due to Ind AS because we are amortizing our processing fees. Sir, in the numbers that was taken, so we took a 25 crore hit last year as well because of this?
Yes, Precisely. Restated. Correct. You are right. That is how the 302 crore was the profit under gap that has come down. There will be a combined impact of all the adjustments those are made under index. For March 18, we are giving the reconciliation in the presentation.
Right. So the impact is only about 3.5 crores. It's not, just wanted to clarify that fact. It's not.
Precisely. That's only 3.5 crore we have mentioned in our slide number 5.
Fair. That's all, sir. Other questions have been answered. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Akash Nainani from Macquarie. Please go ahead.
All of my questions have been answered. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Yash Agarwal from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Hi, yes.
Hi. So I didn't follow the growth rate.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Agarwal. I would request you to please speak a bit louder.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, a bit better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I didn't follow the growth rate in Karnataka in fourth quarter. What was it, the loan book growth in Karnataka?
The loan book growth in Karnataka during quarter 4, as far as the increment is concerned, there was a positive increment of the new approvals were up by 12% in quarter 4 compared to quarter 4 of last year. Similarly, the incremental loan book growth was at 18% compared to the previous years till the previous quarter that used to be remain subdued. But overall, for the year, the loan book growth, if you see, it was 6.5%, whereas the company is growing at around 17%.
And you see, the overall loan book growth in Karnataka bouncing to double digit now from here?
If quarter 4 is an indication, if that holds, naturally, it should be.
And what is the percentage, Karnataka contribution to the overall loan book currently?
It's around 31%.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pranay Rajani from BNK Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Thanks for providing an opportunity. My question is first on regarding like in the last 2 quarters we had launched 2 products which were as replacement for affordable housing loan. So what is the growth we are witnessing in these products and how are those products going to support the margins going forward?
Now, there was a new fund created at NHB. Earlier there used to be Rural Housing Fund and Urban Housing Fund separately, RHF and UHF. So under that we had 2 products called Grihalakshmi Rural Housing Scheme, GRHS, and LUH. That is the loan for urban housing. Those 2 funds, now there is no refinance. Those 2 were subsumed, replaced by Affordable Housing Fund. AHF is a new fund that was created for refinance to this affordable segment, particularly to LIG and below, by NHB, under which it subsumes the erstwhile GRH and LUH, the funding under rural housing and urban housing. So under affordable housing, because there is a new scheme, new product, new line of funding, so based on those criteria, we had rolled out these 2 products. But it doesn't mean that suppose a loan is granted under is another product but qualifies for this, which had been because that ASF is available from 1/4/2017. So even the earlier loans when the product was not there, all those loans which are eligible, those are qualifying to the criteria of the housing fund are eligible for a refinance. And in such cases, we are repricing, we are resetting the rate of interest based on that 3.5% margin that is available to us as and when we are getting the fund.
All right, sir. And apart from this, on presentation, slide number 24, you have guided for loan book size of 23,000 crores for the next FY. That is a 25% growth. So how do you plan on achieving this growth?
Now, I'll say you there are 3 factors. First thing is quarter 4 has shown that growth has come back. But current year, don't expect this growth rate in quarter 1 and quarter 2 because quarter 1 we have the general elections activity certainly will be somewhere bit impaired. And quarter 2 also, now we have already entered the monsoon season. So the monsoon time is not the time for housing. Normally, quarter 3 and quarter 4 holds the maximum for any housing finance company for housing activity overall. So when quarter 1 and quarter 2, you may see a bit higher growth in non-housing segment, but quarter 3 and quarter 4 will hold maximum under housing. And if housing for all by 2022 has to happen, if supply was an issue till last year because of the RERA, now the RERA has been understood and consumed by the market. Yeah, so new supplies, once they come in, demand is very much there. I've been telling this, and I stand by that demand remains. It is only a supply side issue which was there. So the companies which don't have liquidity issue and who are into housing, suppose growth is not an issue going forward. And the key drivers again will be Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana and the CLSS. That apart, in the interim budget, there are so many additional benefits which have been given both for the home buyer as well as for the builder. Up to 5 lakhs no tax now. Second home earlier, if it was self-occupied, then still then you are paying a tax on notional rent. Now that has been exempted. If it is let out, earlier the threshold was 1.8 lakhs, now that has been increased to 2.4 lakhs. So going forward, housing for all cannot happen only by home ownership, that everybody should own one. Suppose for last 3 decades I am outside. I own a home but I never stay at my home. So I require a leased accommodation or a rental accommodation. So rental housing is going to supplement housing for all. People who are from the countryside and they come to live in a metro for the purpose of their job requirement, for them you require to create that sort of stock. So going forward, you will see both the rental accommodation, because the second home has been given a tax exemption this time. So people who are having only one house, they may prefer to have one more floor or one more second unit, which will cater to the rental need of people like me, Mr. Bakshi and Srikant.
All right, sir. And one last question on the gross NPA fund on a YOY basis as compared to FY18, we have seen an increase from 0.4 to 0.62. So where do you see the gross NPA numbers going forward for the next FY, considering the same growth rate of 25%?
Gross NPA ratio, always I compare on quarter basis, because as I told you, Q1 we had allowed some accounts to drop into NPA so that we can initiate action under surface C. So it's something like this, that if an account is becoming a burden on you, as far as the cost of keeping that account in standard is concerned, it's better mark it as NPA and go for recovery action. That is how. So we are not worried about really the year-on-year comparison, but quarter-on-quarter, the sequentially there is a 10 basis point, almost 9-10 basis point drop in our ratios, and the ratio has improved not because of denominator effect, but because of absolute reduction in the numerator. So that is the biggest positive. So going forward, our endeavor will be to hold on to these ratios, and God willing, if the 25% growth in loan book, we are in a position to strike our target. So naturally, even the denominator will start playing.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Siva Kumar from Unify Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Sir, my question is again with regards to the NPA levels. Because if you remember in Q3, you said that due to multiple festivities coming in Q3, the NPAs notched up to 125 crores. But in absolute terms, we see that the decrease is slightly low at just 12 crores. It just moved to 113 crores in Q4. So do you think that there can be much more recovery going forward?
Should be, because surface action, if I disclose the numbers here, that speaks. As and when you are in a position to really dispose of, if I am holding some 95 crore under surface action, it should come out.
Okay. Sir, and in the accounts where you have sold the securities amounting to 9 crores, what was your recovery of the total outstanding principal plus interest?
I did not get it. Can you please come again?
Full amount is recovered or not?
Excuse me, I could not get you. Can you repeat, please, your question?
So, because, sir, you have stated that for about 30 accounts amounting to 9 crores, you have sold the securities, right? The underlying collateral.
Yeah.
So, what is your average realization of the outstanding principal and interest of those particular accounts?
Wherever a security is sold, it realizes both, because in NPAs you don't apply further interest, and we are not holding to really that old NPAs. So the unapplied interest won't be that much. It will be, the recovery is normally for both the principal as well as up-to-date interest. Even though interest is not applied, on notional basis it is always worked out by the system, and to close the account you need to recover the full. By and large we see that yes, we don't have much amount that you require to sacrifice in case of realization. It's pretty good.
Right. Sir, and you have been stating that you are holding excess provisions over the current NPAs. So what is, can you quantify those excess provisions and for how long this provision rate will be next to nil?
No, we are complying as far as the provision percentage is concerned for NPAs. There are two compliances we are following as of now. Both NPA as well as standard asset. Because under the old system of GAP, we are following the IRAC norms, the prudential norms of income recognition and asset classification. Under that, there is a standardized provision rate for standard assets. It is depending on it is 0.25 or 0.4 or 0.1% or 0.75% for non-housing. Those are prescribed. Similarly, for substandard 15%, for doubtful D1, D2 and D3, it is 25% of the deficit, then 40%, then 100% in case of D3 and loss. Those are prescribed. Whereas under Ind AS, there is no concept of NPA provision separate and standard asset provision separate. Under ECL model, the expected credit loss is worked out, and on that you will have to provide that. So if you compare the ECL and the old system, under ECL for any housing finance company, because the entire assets are security backed, the requirement of provision will be much lower. But till such time, till now, the guidance of the prescription of NHB, National Housing Bank, is please to continue to provide the higher amount of two. So under ECL, even though requirement is much lower, we are providing in entire assets based on the prescribed provision rates as per IRAC. So that is how we have taken some load during this year. That is 0.40 crore in standard asset and 0.69 under NPA. But there will be a surplus always, substantial surplus as far as the ECL model is concerned. As and when these things are going forward, if the ECL model is allowed only and the IRAC is removed, then in that case there will be a substantial amount of retrieval.
Okay, so you're comfortable holding net NPA levels at 0.43 levels? Because typically you tend to bring it down as the year progresses, right?
There again, last time also I had explained and now I'll explain. As long as if you are having profit surplus and if you provide, that's no sense really, because net NPA ratio, if earlier the company was keeping net NPA at 0%, for successive 8 years we kept. March 17 I was there, even I had kept it at 0% net NPA. But there is no tax exemption for keeping such higher amount of provision. If I provide 40 crore now, or 79 crore is my net NPA amount, there is no gain. What will happen is, out of the profit, if it is plowed back to, if it is kept under provisions, to that extent, my net worth and my capital will be depressed, my borrowing power will reduce. So we always keep the additional provision to the extent that you are getting some benefit. So maybe going forward, when there is adequate profit, we will provide to the extent of the tax benefit, tax exemption available on that.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Krishna Parekh from Alcazar Associates. Please go ahead.
Hello. Congratulations on this result. I think you said that you prefer builders with 40 units instead of larger projects. Can you please explain this strategy? Because I thought customers in a down cycle or depressed markets would prefer more reputed builders with the ability to complete larger projects.
I'll tell you one more aspect to this. I'll give. If it is a larger unit of 1,000 units or 2,000 units, the normal gestation period is something like 3, 4, 5 years. Whereas in a smaller unit, the delivery is much faster. In a larger unit, there will be a swimming pool, there will be a gym, and there will be a jogging track. Whereas in a smaller unit, it will be a gated community, there will be parking, there will be a small gym maybe with lesser equipment, may not be a swimming pool, and there may not be a jogging track. But what happens is the first time home loan buyer whom we do fund, he is not willing to pay that extra premium that is required to take in a reputed builder's big project. Because by and large, they will not come and avail a loan at 9.5% from me, because for them there are many banks which are queuing up. So what happens is the housing finance companies, we do cater to the first time home loan buyer, and I'll explain once again this almost every conference call I have been telling, that for a first-time home loan buyer who is in the age group of 25 to 35, when somebody's earning is in the ratio of in the range of something like 50,000, 60,000 a month, then he is entitled to a loan of 25 lakhs or 30 lakhs. At the most, the total equity he can arrange is maybe 5-7 lakhs. Put together, if it is in the range of 35-40 lakhs, then certainly he is not buying a property in any of those big projects of 1,000 units, 2,000 units. That is from the borrower's point of view. As far as the lender's point of view, we are not willing to block our funds in those 3 years, 4 years long gestation period, because I don't have that sort of liabilities. If the liquidity is not an issue for Canfin, it is because if we land in that sort of projects where the borrower, from the day we give the loan and from the time when he does the housewarming, the gap is not as much, as longer.
Okay. And
so starts in. Once he takes possession of the house, your cash flow kicks in.
Last question, sir. On slide number 19, you
said... I'm sorry to interrupt. Sir, I would request you to please come down to the queue because there are other people.
No problem. No problem.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pawan Kumar from Ratnaranya Capital. Please go ahead.
Sir, I just wanted to quiz you on the non-salaried proportion going up. So since this is looks to be more of a tax compliance issue getting cleared off, so going forward, should we expect the 71% of the salaried and professional to further come down?
It may not precisely, because one more aspect to this is the salaried space, particularly post-RERA, most of the demand in the salaried space is not met as yet, because the salaried people are more informed and always they are a bit choosy as far as taking the plunge into buying a home is concerned. They keep deferring because already they will be in some rental accommodation. So unless adequate supply side, the supply is adequate of RERA compliant properties, normally the salaried segment being more informed and having access to the information, they do keep waiting. So to my understanding, in the last 2.5 years, whatever home loan we have done, the percentage of non-salaried has been a bit higher in the new approvals. This may alter as we go forward and as the supply side starts getting addressed. Canfin...
And generally, how
Canfin, because the demand is unmet as yet, not met as yet in the salaried space. So we are foreseeing that going forward, leading to FY20 and 21 and 22, the salaried space will play a much bigger role, much larger role as far as the Tier 2, Tier 3 cities are concerned.
Okay. And yields, how much better are they in non-salaried?
Yes, sir. The difference is 35-40 basis. By and large, it is not that great, really. The difference is not as high.
Okay. Thanks.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhishek Murarka from India Infoline. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Hi, sir.
Yeah, good morning, sir. My question is on regulations. Now, the RBI is likely to put a cap on the cumulative ALM mismatch, especially for the short end, on NBFCs, possibly even for HFCs. In your conversations or in your what do you expect that cap to be? And how are you positioned for it?
Today morning there is a news article on that. No speculations, let it come. Your company is complied and there are no issues. Let us see. So that is where, again, as far as liquidity is concerned, I'll tell you one thing. The mismatch will be more when any company engages in high gestation loans. For a housing finance company is supposed to do housing loans. As long as you stick on to housing loans and more home loans, individual home loans, from both capital side plus liquidity side, you are the most comfortable, and Canfin is the biggest example for that. That it never had an impact of either liquidity or so much of discussion around that was never an issue. Rather than Canfin having been in the market, we are also impacted by the discussions around and the negative sentiment that was there in the market. Because in a home loan, your capital, your risk weight is something like 35% to 50% even if LTV is not okay. Whereas, so burn rate of capital, for Canfin if you see, 3 years back when I had taken this company, the capital adequacy is around 19%, today it is 19.5%. The leverage was 11 times, that has improved now to 9.5. So you can compare, that is why what type of assets you are creating. Yesterday, day before yesterday, there has been so many articles on news and from the industry veterans, there are advices. If you look at all these, end of the day, it is the strength of your balance sheet, it is the quality of your balance sheet that matters. For good players, there is no dearth of liquidity. The investor has become choosy. Certainly, the cost has gone up because of the negative sentiment. Otherwise, as far as liquidity is concerned, liquidity is available very much for those people who are ethical and who are value-based and whose balance sheets are strong enough.
No, fair enough, sir. But the question is, so if you do home loans, pure home loans, they will be longer duration in nature, and then therefore, you will carry a certain ALM mismatch, versus people who do short-end loans or a corporate loan or a developer financing. So,
a developer finance, what is the gestation, sir? 3 to 4 years till such time cash flow won't start. In a home loan, you avail a home loan from me, and if in a year's time you are having your house warming, you invite me or not, but your EMI will start kicking in. So what happens is, that is what I was telling. If Canfin gives a loan of, disburses a loan of 450 to 475 or 500 crore in a month, my repayment in normal course, that is through the electronic mode itself, what I receive is average 75 crore per week. On 5th, 10th, 15th and 20th, my repayment cycles, one of which the borrower can choose from. The usual repayment is in a month is something like 300, 350, 375 crore. So your cash flows should be much faster. It is not that we give 20-year loan, but the average tenure of a loan, home loan on my book is something like 5, 6 or 7 years at the most.
Sure.
So now even from the index point of view, the deferred processing fee, which has been amortized over a period of 20 years, suppose the loan is getting closed in the 5th year, in 5th year entire thing will accrue. So that is what I told, in 4 to 5 years it will start unwinding and get back to normalcy. For first year, second year, third year, you may see little lower earnings because of processing fee getting amortized. But over a period of 5 years, because by and large I am seeing the portfolio of Canfin, it gets repriced, it gets repaid, it keeps churning in 5 to 6 years time.
Okay, sure.
Right, sir.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Mahesh M., who's an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Sir, good morning, and thank you for taking my question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, sir. Please go ahead.
And congratulations on the hard work, especially when the peers are struggling and there is so much of, integrity issue and the, ethical issue, but on the growth and, maintaining the integrity, it's a fantastic work. So I had a quick question on the, so if you look at like last 2-3 years, the return on the investment in Canfin stock is not so good, for various reasons. And then the yield also is like about 0.5% to 0.7%. Any thought on issuing some bonuses to the long-term investors?
Your ROE, your return on investment, if you are talking from your perspective, the return on equity for the company over last 3-4 years has gone on improving. And last year it was really under GAAP, it was 24.odd%. Now the ROE appears to be depressed because there is the processing fee has been amortized, so in the earnings it is hit. Earning has come down by that much, but the money remains. It is the accounting issue. Similarly, in the denominator, in the equity, as Mr. Bakshi was explaining, earlier we are allowed to shift 20% of the long-term profit revenue into special reserves without paying tax. And so the deferred tax was that DTL amount has gone and set in the equity now. So the equity has also increased. So for your company, the borrowing power has improved. The debt equity, the leverage has come down to 9.5 times, sir. which used to be 10 in double digit. So there are improvements, and the ROE of the present ROE what we have posted of 18.16 and ROE of 1.76. If you take these two into account, it commensurates well with the 2% ROA and around the 20% plus ROE. So Can will continue to, and it has continued to deliver return on equity of 20% plus and ROA of around 2% and margin of 3% plus. These are really, we are committed to those numbers and we are striving for those numbers.
Sure, sir. I understood that part. So my question was more about if you look at the share price performance in the last 2 years.
I think I am not in a position to answer on the share price or the stock price because our role is really to create the numbers and give a good set of numbers. Many times the market, how market operates and how the market reacts, those things are many times not directly related to because there is a enterprise-wide valuation. There are many other impacts of the beyond the company's fundamentals. As long as your company is fundamentally strong, delivering numbers, I suppose I am concerned and I am accountable to that aspect.
Sure, I agree. I appreciate that.
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Any thoughts on...
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Any thoughts on...
The next question is from the line of Pravesh Kochar from Backstone. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning, sir, and thanks for taking my question. I have a very small question on the plan for opening branches for next year. Last quarter, you had mentioned that you'll be rationalizing some branches in metros and expanding in Tier 2, Tier 3. So is that the same plan right now, that you'll be opening new branches and rationalizing existing ones? And what's the targeted number you're looking at for the year?
That is why right now our numbers are at 189 units. We have explained that we have disclosed that we are opening 20 branches in the first phase itself, which is already the premises has been advertised for. Whereas when it comes to the total number of branches, we are telling will be around 200 we want to be by the month year end. So the plan of rationalizing the branches in the metro is from the point of cost cutting part. And as far as the new branch expansions are concerned, those have been, we are trying to operate at the minimum cost as minimum as possible. And normally our branches do break even in a less than a year's period. Once they start building something like a crore business in the metros and some 75 lakh, 50 lakh business per month, once they start doing that, the branch normally breaks even. One more thing is the last 2.5 years, whatever those 60 odd branches we have opened, 50 plus branches we have opened in the 16 to 18, it is really new addition is around 65 branches we have added. Out of which only 12 are in metro, those are in the peripheries of metro. So within the metro, whatever branches are there, we are trying to centralize. Already we had started a central processing unit in Bangalore. Now Hyderabad we have opened. Delhi and Chennai we are opening. The collections have been centralized. For the recovery, centralized forces have been made. So the company is working on those lines that the operations in the metros should be much more the productive. The cost, the overhead cost can be, how it can be cut down. These plans are there very much. A group of our top management, they are sitting on that and they are working on. Maybe going forward, you will see the numbers coming on the quarter ends and year end.
Right. So we are currently at a run rate of 1550 in terms of disbursement, 1550 crores. So with those additional 10 branches or so, you expect we can do a run rate of 1800 crores also?
No, not that alone. Even the last year opened branches, they will improve because the first year normally you don't expect great numbers. Because all the new branches are not in the existing geographies. Most of those were new geographies. That was a strategic plan again. We wanted to have restrict our expansion plan to capture new geographies where Canfin was not present. So normally in those places to get that the average productivity takes little time. So maybe this year the branches opened in the previous year and last year they should start playing out and delivering bigger numbers.
Thank you and all the best for FY20.
Come, sir.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraint, that was the last question for today.
Yeah, great.
I would like to hand the conference over to the line of management for closing comments.
Yeah, it was a great interaction. Every interaction with our the analysts and investors, it has been a experience of learning something and taking some cue from you. Your some of the points that have emanated, some of the questions have got many lessons for the management to take, many cue for the management to take about your feelings and your thoughts for the company. I'm very happy that it has been so very engaging all the time, every quarter end when we arrange a conference call. And there is much more to explain. Apart from our explaining, there are so many points really to take back from you. And certainly in the year ahead, now that we have entered already a month of the new financial FY20 that has gone, and I always I prefer to and I choose to repeat this that FY20 is going to be the take-off phase for Housing for All. FY21 the peak, and FY22 should be the consolidation phase. If that has to happen, we should be optimistic and we should work towards that Housing for All by FY2022. And if that is so, your company is pretty well placed to play its role and play its part in that endeavor and that mission of the nation. Thank you all.
Thank you.